What the fuck? Wow. What's up? Uh, so I have no idea, man. I just wanted to try and stream for like a little bit. There is something funny about not. I don't know for how long. I think it. I personally feel like it has been like 2 weeks. Um, I think it has been like in reality only 1 week or so. Also, so at the very least, here we are. Activity, certainly activity. At the very least, here we are. Um, so yeah, that's everything. Now I can say that I did my show. I streamed. I I can close stream. Wow. No. I don't know. There are like too many things to say. So the question is, what is even the thing of today? Is there any goal? Certainly not. There isn't. I think like personally, uh, it should be like at this point an always expected thing that I don't say anything in general. But personally speaking, I like it when people simply talks. It's interesting to hear people speak. It's nice to hear people speak. It's something entertaining by itself. Something that doesn't require that much more. You just have something that you wanna talk about, and then you just do that and nothing else. And the I don't know. It isn't. It's complicated. It's not because it's entertaining that you speak. You don't do it expecting to be entertaining. I don't think that's the point of talking. It's it's sort of complicated. I mean, the goal is on one hand obviously to be entertaining. You need to have something that is entertaining. But on the other hand, you don't really need that. I think so. It's not that you don't need to think about being entertaining or anything like that. It's more along the lines of, can you even do something that entertains you? I don't think many of the conversations that we have exist simply because they are entertaining. It's something more intrinsic to itself that what you talk about is entertaining, so to speak. I mean, it still doesn't make any sense. It's like a complicated idea in the sense of what do you even define entertaining and why do you do that? Why are you so sure that what you find entertaining is entertaining? And besides the most basic level of that phenomena, yes, most people still possess a certain awareness of the issue, or not the issue, the reality of, and besides this one thing being perhaps maybe entertaining, I also have something else. I also have something that has some value, or that even if for me, for myself, it is entertaining, for someone else it might not be. So it's 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 not complicated, I guess. It's something that simply lets you to realize, I guess, that in many ways, the idea of, oh yeah, this one thing is entertaining, therefore it's valuable because we can talk about it. That one thing is the only important thing, so to speak, or the only thing that we can properly use to keep ourselves going in many ways. And that isn't certainly the case. In many in many cases and in many scenarios, yes, what matters isn't the entertainment value. I don't think so. I mean, I don't even know why I started with that, but it shouldn't be something complicated to define that. In many ways, what is entertaining is so because you can find something useful besides the simple entertainment of it. It's like it isn't really entertaining to mathematics, for example. I don't think so. Besides, those people who are special enough to find their way through algebraic problems in very easy ways, and the capacity to deduce every single thing that is related to that in such a manner that makes it so much more enjoyable than any other type of hobby. Most of the mathematical stuff is entertaining by itself. It's entertaining because there is something else besides the math, so to speak. I mean, yeah, I think it should be like an obvious explanation. What is entertaining is of that quality, possesses the quality of entertaining, because what we have inside of the entertainment value is the value itself of usefulness, something that seems to possess any kind of usefulness. At the very least, if you're talking about something that is entertaining, you're being useful in the act of continuing to discuss something that everybody seems to care about. I guess, yeah, the speed by which you can develop the argument certainly can pick up a little bit more when you introduce stuff like, I don't know, something that should be obvious enough. If you're talking about the modern day, the what's the contemporaneous day, that's the word, um, you realize something seemingly obvious. That is, sadly, we have had accepted things that can insert themselves into the daily life of us as valuable, quote unquote. It's not something that you have decided was interesting, but something that, because the tradition itself of how we set around things establishes that we do, this new apparent creation might also as well be entertaining. So, what it decides in the latest stages of life, or in the most, once again, modern parts of it, is not truly its inherent value, but simply the one that comes predisposed or pre-informed by what was everything else behind that one thing. We we talk about the entertaining thing itself as something that is existent in the absolute void of things, but it doesn't really happen in that way. In many cases, what is valuable or what is entertaining is simply so because it comes from the tradition of things that are supposed to be entertaining. I mean, I don't know. It's like a difficult idea, not a complicated one, a difficult one, because you should be capable of picturing inside of yourself every single kind of thing that relates to that sort of topic. I mean, how do you even decide that something like a series is entertaining? Because it seems to, bes- besides the most obvious type of consumerist oriented creation, which any kind of series might have, in which the way scenes and audio, and the whole composition is oriented towards the maximum degree of engagement. Besides that, many other traditions are what makes modern series be entertaining. It isn't something entertaining because it is by itself. It is something entertaining because it seems to remind you of something else, or it seems at the very least to not go against what was entertaining before. It's it's based on this idea of and everything else that came before this was pretty much like this one new creation. So at the very least, it doesn't fail to remind me of this one older thing, I guess. In the modern era, I guess it's the issue that every single thing seems to be entertaining based on these similar patterns. Like, yeah, we don't really have that much original stuff. We only have things that are based on previous histories or things that takes inspiration from previous ways of narrating something or recreations of an already told story just to try and see how it can be that we can give a new meaning or something like that to what already has been said with an already definite solution or definite explanation, I guess. I don't know. It's, I mean, it's easy to simply criticize it from the side of the series, but it's the general stuff in in this world. It's the general stuff that works that way. I mean, either if you grab a book, you find out that the most normal types of novel are arrange themselves in a way that only serves to remind you that there was once something that seemed to work, so now we are all going to copy the same formula. Very much the same with movies. I mean, video games are sort of a different field. Not because they escape the rule, but simply because they give you an illusion of difference. You don't really have something unique with a video game. What you have in your hands when you're playing a video game is something that you have a little bit more of quote unquote agency on. It is still a set pattern of things that will unavoidably happen in a specific way, nothing else. But you such that it is something interesting because it seems to be something that you can, at the very least, possess the illusion of choice in more. It's, I think, in that sense, it might be like an insulting comparison because they are still very different ambience. But I see it as the choose your own adventure sort of book and the video game are pretty much the same thing in that sense. They still follow a very similar structure, I guess. But I don't know. Also, welcome, son. I hope you're well. I hope you're enjoying. I don't know if you're still on that day or not, but you're enjoying. Ah, I was meant to search that. I don't know how to say it in English. I don't know if it is Laborers' Day, Workers' Day. What is it? International Labor Day or International Workers' Day. A holiday that supports labor organizing and workers' rights. Okay. So yeah, thank you. Basically, that I hope that the comedy. Yeah, yeah. I hope that you enjoy the resting day. That's the point. resting day, the day in which you get to rest because it's a holiday. I hope you're enjoying your holiday. Thank you. Uh, yeah. That's the whole point. I mean, we don't really we are thankful because we don't work in that sense. Not being part of the corporate world makes you not realize how much of an interesting thing it should be. I mean, it still is nothing. We don't have a true celebration of anything today, particularly. I don't see people congregating to discuss the importance of unions and similar stuff if the orientation is something along the lines of, oh yeah, it's the way in which we as workers have gained the possibility of not being dominated by the system and subjugated by the bourgeoisie. We live in a state of free. Well, no, that's not the discussion. It's simply, oh wow, yeah, I have free day. I don't have to worry anymore about working today. Amazing. So yeah, at the very least, that's we are happy. The point is we are happy. But anyway, uh, I hope you are happy. That's the main point. Is. But yeah, anyway, welcome. The point was, what was I trying to talk about before? No idea. I think it was something along the lines of how we follow tradition. I mean, entertainment. Yeah, what we define as entertaining? What is entertainment? What is the value of something besides the entertainment value itself? That is at the very same time nothing, because anything can be entertaining. But yeah, it's everything is about the point. In I don't know. I think it has been like that since always. Um, Not particularly just right now. Everything revolves around what's the point of the activity that you're doing, and what's the thing that you are wanting to do, and what's the goal of the things that you do in your life and whatnot. It isn't in any way a simple discussion of, yeah, I get to be happy, or I get to do this one thing, this one field of things, because I am fulfilled by that. It's even in those cases, it's still a discussion about why do I see it as something valuable, and why should I be capable of continuing to do what I do. It's always revolving around those things. It's never a simple matter of. I mean, we certainly hate as the whole world, everywhere. Also, welcome, Alpin. Uh, yeah, uh, but the whole world, I think, certainly hates the idea of, yeah, you cannot do things that are simply pleasing in the most basic sense, in the most neurochemical way. I mean, it's funny. I think certainly doing drugs is bad. That's not what I mean. There is nothing as stimulating as drugs, but we don't like stuff like, I don't know. You don't have a. It sounds stupid if you say it's just like that, but you don't have a day in which you go out and pick up flowers. You don't have a day in which you enjoy having nothing to do. It's bad to have nothing to do. It's funny to think that the moment in which you have nothing to do, you're being reminded by everything that exists around you that it is a mistake by your end to not have anything to do. That the capacity to relax, even the capacity to enjoy nothingness, is something bad, because we need to be constantly busy, and we need to be constantly doing something and working towards somewhere and creating something that is useful And not because we find it useful ourselves, but because that is the goal of everyone. You cannot try to spend time defining what you see as interesting because you don't know what is interesting by yourself. Is the main point of everything. So you need to be educated based on stuff that someone else said before. And if you are trying to create your own system or judgment values in order to live your own life, you are now being reminded that what you do is in a certain way bad because you don't really know what you want in a certain way. You don't really know what you might need to do. It's it's in that way that I don't like entertainment. It's we don't have entertainment stuff because it is entertaining. We have entertaining stuff because it seems to follow what came before that. We don't have anything that is entertaining just because it is in that way and nothing else. It's I don't know. I feel like I like that every single time I come here, I only get angry and end up yelling out stuff, but it's pretty much that. We don't have anything that you can say is entertaining because I find it entertaining. I find it entertaining because it seems what everyone else has found entertaining aligns with that one thing. So I am at the very least capable of saying that I enjoy this thing without being so harshly judged by everyone else. I don't have something that I myself completely like. I would rather die if I had to consume only this one thing for the whole rest of my life. But at the very least, I have the satisfaction of knowing that what I have in my hands right now seems to be for everyone else also entertaining. So I can say that this one thing is entertaining without being so harshly judged. That's what I find entertaining, not what gives me anything else, not what makes me happy. If my individual happiness were to be the most important thing, I would rather decide to not live in the society in many ways, in many cases, but I rather abandon what I can be because also the prospect of deciding to be in accordance with what I am and in accordance with what the whole system of things says that the things need to be cannot in any way match. Or at least that's what I find most of the time, supposedly. But I don't know. I mean, that's still the quote unquote entertaining thing about not having to worry about any of that. You know, you don't need to worry about any of those things. Nobody needs to worry about any of those things. It's just the message that is given in many ways. It's it's not something also. It feels pointless to say it in that way because it isn't the complete picture. It's not that just you are being forced to accept what is right because if you go against it, I don't know, a maximum example, you're going to be killed. No, it's yeah, I remember reading something about that. It's along the lines of even if we have advanced in many ways, what still remains in many people is the idea that being alienated from the society in which you live is worse than dying. So you don't have to face the consequence of losing your life, which is an instantaneous damage which might carry a completely unknown consequence, which you, to a certain extent, can allow yourself to not worry about because there is no way to know what is beyond the other side, as in, you don't know what is going to happen when you die, no matter how much you want to say that you are sure because of your religion or whatever. You don't know what is going to happen, but at the very least, you have the certainty that if you are completely alienated from the rest of the people around you, your existence is going to be bad, and your continued life is going to be unenjoyable in that way. So it's the continuous anger that is, yeah, I think it shouldn't be that surprising that, say, you harbor angeriness towards everyone else because you cannot feel or cannot find what is that you in any way see as something valuable if you don't give yourself the chance to do it. And at the same time, this, I don't know, I don't think the general message of the whole society is something that disallows you to create something fulfilling in any way, but it's something that certainly is only entertaining, not much more. You don't have something that is in any way useful. You have only something that relates to the entertainment value, nothing else. And that's where it feels like it's, I wouldn't say it's just a disappointment. It's a loss. That's what it feels like. You could have something more. I guess certainly it doesn't stop being an issue. That okay, instead of focusing on what is entertaining, let's focus on what is useful. You know what will be useful? Many things that we nowadays consider crimes against humanity. That's what's useful. And certainly we don't want that. So we cannot go either for the way of the usefulness or the entertaining thing. Any of those two things is harmful. It's it's something that is in the middle. Something that is, I guess, in the secret tiered option or something along those lines, where you realize that and you can do things that are not just fine for everyone in terms of they don't make anyone angry, they don't upset anyone. You can have things that are on one hand useful, on the other one entertaining. It's it's complicated. I feel like I am moving too fast in certain ways. I yeah, I feel like I'm talking too much about things that I do feel I understand, even if I don't. Uh, Assuming that we are all on the same page. But if you have followed what I said before, this one isn't also going to be that difficult to follow. What is valuable not because you find it yourself valuable. It is because you understand what everyone has said to be valuable. So you end up deciding by yourself that what will be valuable also aligns with that future next thing that seems to be in any way useful. So you at the very least have the consensus of everyone in that side. And you don't have to worry about anything else because you can also follow what is entertaining since the tradition is very much the same thing and it isn't about revolting against tradition. There is no point about that. There is no true usefulness in something along the lines of, oh yeah, I am going to be the one who rebels against society just because I need to rebel. It isn't about that particular idea. There is a certain usefulness in being a rebellious spirit, I guess, but not in that way, not particularly like that. There is a conscious, measured effort that needs to be done in different ways and in many different aspects about the confounding factors of the present modern society, but not even one of those things will change if you just simply rebelled against them. There is something to be said, and that is only properly careful enough actions are impactful in any way, not something that tries to destroy what existed before at all cost, so to speak. And in this case, it isn't that much different. It's not. Yeah, we have nothing that is truly nice. the most objective expression of the world. We don't have anything that is nice like that. We simply have annoying stuff or overly useless stuff or just interesting, entertaining, and useful things. But we don't have anything nice. And I don't know, it doesn't truly mean also that we don't have it. I think something it, yeah, I like to be negative because I assume that everyone can understand when I am being overly negative, which doesn't happen even if I am saying it, because it's impossible to pick up every single other side of the message. Uh, Certainly, there are things that are nice. I think one of the funniest things that are somehow nice is getting to be with people. I think something funny enough is getting to understand what the what there are dogs fighting outside. Well, okay, give me like 1 second. Why are there dogs fighting outside, brother? Give me like 1 second. I love this shit. Yeah, so there were dogs fighting. So anyway, thank you. What a wonderful thing. I hate streaming at this hour because of that stuff. Anyway, I dogs, are they going to shut up? Maybe not. Anyway, the point was, I don't know. I kinda lost the point. That's the funny thing. You get interrupted because animals appear and you lose what you were talking. Yeah, I know. I was talking about what's nice, quote unquote. What's nice? Everything is like an arbitrary definition. At this point, it should be obvious. Everything is an arbitrary definition. You don't truly get to say what's nice. Nobody gets to have that privilege. Nobody gets to define what's nice and what isn't. You just repeat what is nice based on everyone else way of seeing things. If we were to live in a completely different reality and somebody were to see, not somebody, everyone were to agree on things in a completely different way, I don't know, it's exaggerated example. We will talk about war being something nice because we accepted that fighting and killing other people is an inherent trait of the human race, and it's fine to do that particularly. No, we are not here for that. In this reality, at the very least, no. We are, I mean, yeah, there is something weird to talk out there, and that is the reality of the entertainment that centers around that. I don't completely agree with the viewpoint of, yeah, everything that you see, even video games are violent because you have a repressed desire to hurt somebody else. No, it's still fantasy, man, but it doesn't stop being weird just because it's fantasy. But anyway, the point was, what is something truly nice? Or if there are truly nice things. I said before, I am incredibly sarcastic. I like being sarcastic. I assume people understand when I'm being sarcastic. No, and it doesn't happen. That's not the reality most of the time. Sadly, I don't know. I think, being honest, sarcasm is like a lie most of the time. You simply say stuff that you think about. Then, if you see that people don't agree, you say, "Oh no, I was being sarcastic, man." Or if you don't get the reaction that you were expecting, you say, I was being sarcastic. That's the whole thing. That's how. Besides the obvious main point of sarcasm or main definition, how sarcasm works. But anyway, yeah, there are nice things that are objectively. I just say there is no objective nice thing. Anyway, things that are somehow nice. We have those. We can answer those at the very least. And we can live a comfortable life knowing that at one point we might get to discover one of them. Something that isn't so vapid, I guess, so surrounded by only one type of definition, by just one type of thing that seems to be useful or entertaining or one tag, something that feels good because it is nice in that way. And yeah, there are many things like that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, in that sense, what I can say is sadly that we are actively losing the capacity for people to decide what it's in any way entertaining. It's funny to see that. I mean, we only base. I have already spent like 20 minutes talking about it. We only base ourselves on what came before. And once something seems to be entertaining, it enters that status of entertaining thing, and it never stops being entertaining until either society decides that it was bad because it did something wrong. Different types of abuse of power, let's say it like that, were entertaining. Nowadays, we have realized maybe inflicting damage upon others in those particular ways is not as entertaining as we thought. So, we are not going to do it anymore. But we still have stuff very similar to that, if not directly related or inheriting the interesting tradition of those things. that doesn't truly have anything amazing besides the oh wow, everyone else says that it's entertaining. So they we keep them around. We keep them around. And I don't know. I think it's funny that there are so many things of that sort. I mean, I don't know. It's no. It isn't funny. It isn't funny. It's incredibly sad. We have so many stuff that nobody truly wants to have around, that we don't truly consider useful, that people dedicate their entire lives to do, to create, to whatever, and nobody feels truly invigorated by what they are doing. It's just something that we all agree, at the very least, if it exists, and it doesn't directly, actively, or even if it does kill somebody, it doesn't do it as much. It's fine to have it around. Only in those cases, it's something good to have. But everywhere, everything else, everywhere, is around what we call or entertainment sources. And I don't know. It doesn't need to be annoying, but it feels like it certainly is created to be annoying. It's disappointing, I guess. That's the only word that feels correct in this scenario. You don't truly feel that well. Just because you have something that everyone else does that you can also participate in, it doesn't mean that it's nice. Or, in this case, that it's entertaining. But we simply accept it because it's easier than to create something completely new that might be or not entertaining. I mean, I don't know. I mean, in general, something funny. We have too much fear of failure. It's amazing to see how little the human does in general, that they could be trying to do at the very least and discover what they might be capable of doing if they weren't so centered around, okay, is this going to be successful? I don't know, man. I don't know if this is going to be successful or not. I have no way of predicting if every single thing that I do every single day of my life is going to be successful or not. Do you think I wake up knowing if every single thing that I have done thus far has been the most successful action? Do you see me worrying like that? Are you crazy? What kind of pressure are you putting on yourself that everything that you can have on your mind is, oh my god, is this the most successful thing that I can do or not? Enjoy the ride a little bit. You're going to die in like 20 years. You have already spent 20 years of your life, 40, 50, and you are looking forward to something that you don't know if it's going to work, trying to measure every kind of thing to know if it is going to be the most useful or not action that you can take. I don't know, man. Are you at the very least being happy? That's what I wanted to say before. The whole discussion about how suffering is an acceptable thing. I hate so much seeing all of that around in so many ways. People accepted it in so many forms. I think if I had to try and trace any kind of explanation for it, we are animals. We are unavoidably animals. We only have the capacity to think as an extra step that differentiates between a human and any other kind of Homo erectus, if you want to say it like that. We only have the sapiens because we are capable of thinking, nothing else. But in thinking, we have failed to realize that, yeah, physical pain equal gain. No, man. Mental pain equal gain. No, brother. It's only in a handful of things, only if you're doing exercise, only if you are having to confront the problems that you have, you are gaining something because you have suffered. Everywhere else it doesn't work like that. Why are you going to play something that makes you completely angry? Why are you going to watch something that doesn't give you any kind of fulfillment, that only makes you be completely anxious about the things that you see and completely distressed because the entertainment industry has already shaped everyone to keep consuming that? Why do you need to keep thinking that the point is to suffer in any way? There are only a handful of activities, and it should be evident to anyone who stops for even a second to think what those things are that pay off when they are painful, and nothing else should be in that realm. Yet we trick ourselves consistently enough into believing, oh yeah, this is horrible, so this is nice. I don't wanna say it in a bad way. We luckily have many ways to make it work in many different fields, but at the same time, it doesn't mean I play something that is completely horrible. Not in the scary way, in the completely gruesome or bad experience way horrible. It's non-pleasant to do this thing, and that's why it's nice, or that's why I find it entertaining. Truly, man, you're truly valuing your time in doing something that you know you will not enjoy because of what? But I don't know. I think it's not something that we have been capable of dealing with so far. We have in so many ways that same issue in so many areas of life, and we haven't solved it. I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow that we realize how to stop indulging in this bad behavior. Because at the end of the day, it should be obviously something that we call bad, not something that we focus so much on. But I don't know, man. At the very least, at the very least, we have the satisfaction of knowing that things are moving towards somewhere, even if we are not so sure about that in many ways. So, I don't know. I mean, okay, I have to go attend my dogs yet again, and I'll be back in like 5 seconds. Give me like another 1 or 2 minutes, but I'll be back. Give me 1 second. Thank you. Uh, I'm back. No, now for real. I hope there is nothing else I have to do. But yeah, no. Wait. I used to have a Discord, and I removed the bot there because there was something wonderful going on. It happened that the bot started to malfunction to such a level that it was impossible to trust. Say the bot to work in the act of notifying others if I was live or not. What? I don't have my. I should probably set up like a message or something to copy and paste, but at the very least, I remember to say, yeah, I'm live. Thank you. Now for real, here we are. It has been almost like an hour, so anyway, nobody truly cares. That's the point. Going back, what I was trying to say, no idea. Yeah, I was getting angry and screaming like every other day. That's what this has been does to the human spirit. Cannot do much, but to simply dwell in anger about the issues that it perceives, because acting is a more condemning thing than simply mentally rebelling about the issues of the world. So, we stay here, simply complaining. That's what I'm trying to say. I remember having talked with a guy very recently. It was funny. I remember meeting this guy, and I don't even know when we talked about it, but it was something along the lines of, and what are you doing? Why are you doing the things that you're doing? What's the point? And I like when I find people that don't really know what they are doing. It's interesting because it should be something that you almost innately know. It should be something that you should be capable of saying without needing to think that deeply. I don't know. It's, do you have a goal in life? It shouldn't be that much of a difficult question. Yet, it's somehow something that so many people still struggle with. And I don't even know why. That's the problem. Or not yeah, not that I don't know. In this sad case, not that I don't know. The reality is, it's better to assume that you don't know. Uh, do you truly want to say something along the lines of, people might as well not be aware of what they want because they don't have the capacity to find in the current system something that lets them think for themselves? Once again, we have been talking about it for the whole stream almost. You only have what's entertaining, what's useful. You don't have something that's nice. You don't have something that can let you be yourself. You can only base what you do on the things that others tell you, and the moment in which you try to go against that, you're doing something wrong. So, you almost never have the capacity to stop and think and find out then what do you want? What's the point of what you're doing? What's the goal that you have? What is the finish line that you're aiming for, so to speak? You're moving. I am moving. Everyone is moving. Life is constant movement in that sense. No matter, even if you feel like you're still, the simple fact that you are staying alive means that you will end up reaching somewhere. The question is where, the moment in which you analyze all the things that you are and not doing, what's the final line that you are going to reach? Is it something that you want? Is it something that you wish for? Is it something that you are truly feeling as fulfilling, you place yourself in that finish line, that hypothetical point of completion of your history of life. Are you fulfilled as a human? Are you doing the things that you wanted then? Do you have the things that you wished for? And it shouldn't be that hard, not obviously to just ask that. It should be obvious to say, okay, I am not. I find myself not satisfied with where I am going. What can you do to change it? It isn't that complicated. Yeah, we still have so many issues dealing with that. And if there is something that I also love about this world, is realizing that I am, at least, I guess that's certainly a very subjective condition, but I am surrounded by so many people who seem to be interested by things or about things that are related to the mental aspect of your life, to the things that you think about, the things that you think that you shouldn't think about, the things that you want to think about, everything related to your brain, to your mental processes, all of that stuff. Yet we still don't have a clear way to do most of the things that I can help with that. The funny thing is, we have so many issues still that are completely unresolved. I don't know, man. It shouldn't be that much of a hard thing to say, yeah, what if we work in making things better for the general? What if there is something that can, I don't say completely solve everyone's problems. I don't think in that way. But at the very least, establish more useful ways of dealing with things. But not hypothetical everyone, an active everyone. An active doing stuff for others that makes things better. I I hate when I have to talk with people and find out, yeah, I have all of these issues, and it's as easy as doing this handful of things to solve them, and nobody gives them even a second of their life to hear what they need to do. So many times it's even a fantastic realization to see somebody say, yeah, I completely know what I have to do. I just don't have the energy to do it. I don't think I can in any way do what I need to do. And simply that short conversation of maybe you can. Maybe, even if you don't end up being capable of doing it, maybe if you were to try it, you will find out if you were truly capable of doing it or not, you know? At the very least, if both scenarios are you losing, the one in which you tried, at the very least, you arrived to the complete realization of you lost because you tried, not you lost without ever knowing if the one, the you which tried, did accomplish anything or not. That's the annoying thing. I mean, it's so many ways like that. It's I wanna do something once again nice. I have the possibility of doing something nice, but I don't feel like I should be doing something nice. I don't see myself being the most fulfilled version of me if I do something nice. Maybe I don't reach every single piece of a status that everyone else talks about if I do something nice. Should I do something nice or not? It should be obvious that you don't need to base yourself around so many of those things. Yet we still have to discuss that stuff. It's it's the wonderful reality of, yeah, here we are. We are in 2000 years after we properly start to count forward. 2000 and something years since we started to massively develop as a humanity. I remember, I don't know if I already said it or not, this whole idea of it took 100 years for stuff to happen in some places of the world, for important events to occur. Yet now we are seeing complete countries change within 1 or 2 weeks, 1 or 2 months. It's a completely different reality, and we are still so much struggling with the subject, with the most basic piece of the puzzle of the person. We are still failing on that end. But I don't know. I I I I guess in that sense, it feels like a directionless anger. No matter how much I say it here, we whether or not it will be a wonderful wish for everyone here to be important, and for everyone here not to just be important, be somebody who can change the world in a day. We don't have that power here, not right now. We can simply sit here and talk about nice things, and talk about what seemed to be our entertainment lately. I mean, at the same time, it's also that realization that I don't like, because it doesn't lead to much. You don't truly gain that much if you say, yeah, I can't change the world in a day. Almost nobody can. It's assuming that we are measuring the whole world in between both hands. The people who can change the world in one day are not even a finger or an entire nail. It's like 1 gram of your most fickle nail. That much is how many people are that important or capable of creating any impact overnight. Everyone else needs to do something for so many years to create any impact. And I don't know, I think it's the anxiety, probably. I wouldn't say anxiety at the same time. Sadly, anxiety is only a diagnosis that we utilize nowadays. So if we say anxiety, we might as well be only referring to the problem, nothing else. No, I'm not talking about anxiety. I'm talking about the issue of everything needs to happen now, right now. I cannot wait. I cannot have a slow progress towards somewhere. I cannot have a slow career towards my goal. I cannot do things in a manner in which it feels nice to do it slowly. I cannot have anything like that. I need everything to go fast. If I grow, I need to do it fast. If I achieve my goals, I need to do it fast. If I have a family, I need to have a big one now. I need everything right now. My entertainment, once again, entertainment has been reduced to something that is incredibly short because, oh yeah, I needed to hit that spot to reach the conclusion right now. Everything needs to be immediate. Everything needs to be short lived. And why? What's the point of that? What's the point of doing anything like that? What's the goal? If we don't really gain anything by doing that, I guess I don't know. We might as well be shortening our lifespans by being so acceptant of this tendency towards the immediate gratification, but not much more. I think so. Probably. But we still like it like that. Even if it sounds contradictory, we prefer it to be that way. It's better for things to be that way. I mean, there is nothing more annoying than to have to confront the problems of the stuff that we have, man. Why would anyone be willing or interested in confronting what they are if it means that you have to realize so many of the issues that you have? Quote unquote, because I want to be better. Stop lying, man. Nobody wants to be confronted by all of their issues. Nobody enjoys that process. It's a sort of completely not just self-destructing behavior. There are things that are more hurtful along those lines. It's something along the lines of, yeah, I might gain something if I realize all my issues. It's just I am right now broken in a certain way, and I might be capable of changing it if I work more, if I do more, if I get better. It's never something that you initiate because you have found a proper reason. It's just a promise, an empty promise about something that might happen if you accomplish that goal. And I don't know, it doesn't mean that it's bad, it doesn't mean that it's unnecessary to do that, but it certainly is disappointing to see all of those things so many times. I wish people were more capable of not just being honest. It isn't like everyone is a liar or whatever you wanna say. We, at the very least, we have the pleasure of living with wonderful human beings in that sense. We haven't accepted the sin that makes you be a complete psychotic piece of work that needs to constantly direct everyone towards a desired direction only for your personal gain. We have dealt with that stuff, but we're ignoring the individual still. I have already said, I am not saying anything new. We are still ignoring the point of the person. We don't have people being capable of saying, yeah, I want this for me. I wanna do these things. I wanna have this world. I wanna live in this reality. I wanna try to work towards making these goals better. I see, there is something that I do see. I see it many times, very much. People who believe that they want something, but they don't really have the certainty that they want that thing in a concrete way, in a completely defined manner. What they have is only the notion that they want something that everyone else talks about. It's the common issue of, oh yeah, my two neighbors talk about having I don't know, a vacuum cleaner, so now I want to have a vacuum cleaner. Or in a more hypothetical level, everyone wants to have a dog, so yeah, I also want to have a dog to feed. That's not the point. That's certainly not the point. That's not how things should work. That is something wonderful. That is knowledge, objective knowledge. If we have created something wonderful, is information as a complete concept, system of ideas. I was getting ready to I don't normally talk about that. I was getting ready to study some more stuff, and one of the many things that popped up in that instant was this guy mentioning we need, if you are interested in learning philosophy, you should be capable of learning out the system of things, the ideas and the structures that exist behind the different stuff that you have around you. Not only the structural system of an argument, but also every kind of systemic creation that surrounds reality, any kind of thing that cements the world in which we exist and in which we inhabit with others. That system of things and the many different systems that are in reality, all of those things are important in their own way because you can realize then once you are capable of at the very least grasping to a certain degree the system, how it works, why it works, and that is indeed something important. I guess, I mean, it's, you know what is wonderful about doing what you want, that you can do it in a way in which you feel fulfilled by what you are doing. Um, so let me search the video of the guy. I have it saved somewhere. I watched it, I think yesterday, today in the morning. I don't even know when. I like that I watch so much stuff. I don't even know when I watch the stuff, but here, Quarantine Collective. This is interesting. Copy link. Will I have to edit the link? Probably I will have to edit the link. Why can't I see the chat? What's okay? There it is. I was seeing the chat, not the chat box option of the chat. Anyway, this thing, this piece of media. Thank you very much. To completely throw off anybody who enters, let me pin that. Manually unpin when stream ends. We don't need any context. Watch that video. Thank you. But yeah, that guy was talking, saying, yeah, you should, if you're interested in understanding stuff, you should at the very least give yourself 1 second to focus around how things work. It is important to at the very least be capable of seeing that things are arranged in a certain specific way so that you can also see why they are so. It is a complex task to live in a world in which you are completely lost and in which you could be more goal oriented when you have no sense of direction based on what has happened already. And it certainly doesn't say it in that way. That's more of a personalization, but the point ends up being there are many things around us that do have a value. And if you never give yourself even the chance to find what those things are, you might be completely missing the point. And I don't. There is something wonderful. Also, wait. Okay, sorry. There is something wonderful about reading because when you read, you get knowledge and you get the capacity also to explain if you know how to do that. But in many cases, we don't know how to explain stuff, so you just end up going through as somebody incredibly, incredibly pedantic because you believe that you know more than what you do. So you talk about the stuff in a way in which you believe everyone will get the idea. It doesn't happen, man. Uh, Language is a complex tool, and if there is something wonderful about language, it is that no matter how much you believe, the listener of your idea will be capable of understanding what you are saying. It might as well not happen. It can still be a problem. Also, I might be sort of a schizophrenic. I just hear a noise in my house. I fear I am. Anything is happening. Give me like 1 second for real. Uh, yeah, yeah, okay. I'm not being robbed, thank you. Anyway, continuing. The point was, I have like, I don't stay in any topic. Sorry, I'm bad for that part. But yeah, read something, watch the video that is pinned, and I don't know. I simply wanted to stream. I already did. I haven't here for like an hour already. I'm happy. I'm delivered in that sense. I don't know. I think yeah. It might be a bad idea to leave. I have too much free time in my hands. What was the definition? Let me hint at it. Healthy gamers. That guy is another wonderful guy to see. There is something wonderful that he described, and that is when people are in a loss of meaning, when somebody feels like they have no point, there is something that can be commonly identified, a common denominator found within that group of people. Also, it can happen in the same people who can shield themselves behind the excuse of I have some free time. Time is not free. You don't have free time. You have just the stuff that you might be ignoring because you feel like you are tired. Going back to this whole discussion that I said today of, yeah, we live in a completely exhausting society in which you don't have free time. The persecution of pleasure for the sake of pleasure in that sense is bad. That's why I said it was going to sound bad. There are things that are bad in that side. Very addicting things, very similarly dangerous stuff reside in that realm of, oh yeah, this thing might be nice because it's pleasurable by itself. I don't need to do anything but this thing to get pleasure. So that's fine to do then? Question mark? No, it isn't. It isn't. YouTube? Did I say YouTube? No, I didn't say YouTube. But yeah, that's this stuff, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I at this point I kinda just realized I wanted to go live. I didn't really have that much more to say. Why didn't I analyze the video? I had been thinking about continuing the series analyzing this guy who talked about sociology. I kinda forgot that it existed. 1 hour and 20 minutes in, I just realized it existed. Wow. Anyway, anyway, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have that much more to say. I feel like I complained already. I did my part about getting angry yet another day. So I'm delivered here. I'm done. Not that I am really done. I just don't think I should say anymore. That's what it feels like. I mean, there is something wonderful about that. We live so much in silence that that's what I have realized, that it feels bad, at least on a personal level, when you speak. You shouldn't say so many things when you speak. People takes time to understand this stuff, sadly. And we have so little conversations, we have so few times in which we truly talk about the stuff that we like, that it ends up happening that when something interesting is said, it takes a lot of energy to be understood. So in the end, things like this one are, it's more of a justification as to why I don't stream that much. Not really. uh, a good idea, but it's better for things to be scarce like this than to be here every single day. It's a dangerous idea to say so much, and I think it also happens. I have been studying. I finally have picked up the pace of studying. I am finally back to studying like I did last year. I I find it wonderful how much nothing is said. I think probably if you were to listen to this, or yeah, if you're here and listening to this, you can filter around 90% of the stuff that I say because most of it doesn't truly have any meaning. And I am sorry to say it, but there are people who believes they have anything valuable to say. And not just in the present era. We have authors that are called incredibly important because every single line is meaningful. No, man, it isn't like that. Even if every single line contains an idea, it doesn't mean that every single idea is that impactful. We we don't have that privilege here. Even if if every single thing that I said had any kind of value, it doesn't mean that the value that it has was that important in the end, you know. It's more of an excuse of saying, wow, yeah, um, my job here is done. That's my final message, and I end stream. No, man, there are so many things to talk about. I remember I heard I, I I tried to talk about it with a family member who is minimally interested in that stuff. I was watching like a 3.5 hours um, conference that a guy was doing about psychology. It was wonderful, but it had so little content in the end. There are so many things that we talk about that should be not necessary to discuss. I mean, I already said before many times today. There are many things that I said that don't mean anything new. It's just a reminder of the stuff that we already know. You shouldn't be so lost in the war for meaning, for example, or the war for entertainment. It has no value. Yet here we are yet again discussing the same thing, man. Wow. How much are we contributing to the whole fight if we are simply repeating the same message, man? But at the very least, you get the satisfaction of maybe this time things will be different. If I say it yet again, maybe, I don't know. Nobody, I mean, that's the wonderful thing. Nobody truly knows the consequences of their actions. Even if you can picture 1,000 different scenarios, that doesn't mean that you will choose always only the correct one when you're guessing what will happen as a consequence. That's the funny aspect of life. You don't get to you don't get to find yourself surrounded by everything that you want just because you guess. I think so. And I mean, I don't know. It's crazy. I that's a completely new stuff, but I remember this guy. I haven't instead of free time, having too much free time because I need to keep studying, so I only have studying time and time in which I am cooling down from that. So I haven't yet again on the hunt of content, and I have seen. I think I don't know. I want to say it might just be a rabbit hole, but at the same time, it seems like we're kind of losing ourselves in the addiction side of betting and playing all of these casino games of the sort. I mean, the most obvious parallel that we have in our times, in our systems, is even the gacha games and all of that. we're becoming kind of too acceptant of that stuff, I think. And I don't know. I I recently heard it. It's I don't think I need to elaborate that much. It's kind of true that sadly we are not even the main population of anything. Even if you are talking about, for example, gachas, we are against gachas. We hate gachas. Who hates gachas? The gamer hates gachas. The guy who can spend 200 hours playing a game hates the gachas. Wow, unsurprising. On the other hand, you have the normal guy who can only play for 10 hours the game. What will they do? Will they prefer to have no game experience because they needed to expend those 200 hours which they don't have ever on a game? Or pay a little bit and get to experience the same things that you do just because they use some money? It shouldn't be a discussion at this point, but it seems like we are pretty much in that level in so many ways. And I don't know. I think it's funny. It's the whole industry is becoming funnier. The more I love that aspect about not having that much money. That I don't need to spend that much because I don't have that much to spend. So I don't have that much of a desire to be where everyone else is, so to speak. I don't have that capacity to I don't know the new latest what's going to come out, uh, Elden Ring. So I cannot talk about that, but I can watch how people obsesses over that sort of stuff. That's funny. That's funny. I think so. You see people being so incredibly demented about things that they don't truly care. Do you truly care about? I remember we already kind of even mentioned this. Oh yeah, I love the modular system of the Dark Souls games. No man, you don't. They are incredibly repetitive. They are incredibly boring. You don't love those games. Stop lying. It's yet again the tradition of entertainment. But anyway, I don't know, man. I am not saying anything. At this point, I am not saying anything. And I can also start to feel it. I was starting to have problems with my throat today. So yeah, I should probably shut up. I should probably, I don't know, leave. It seems like a good idea. So yeah. Uh, I haven't ending too many streams without anything else. Maybe that's like a bad custom, you know. Maybe that shouldn't happen. But anyway, have a good one, people. Go do something nice. That's it for me. I have one to do today. I wanna stream tomorrow. I don't like saying it because it sets up expectations which I don't have the capacity to deliver later on. Wonderful thing. But I wanna stream tomorrow. So yeah, we will see how I end up doing it. Good night, good evening. Have a wonderful holiday. And thanks for being here. That's the most important thing. Thanks for having participated. Thanks not for having participated. Thanks for using your time on listening somebody like me who's probably crazy. I don't know. I should get tested. That's something that I haven't thinking about. I think I'm losing it for real. Anyway, leaving you with that idea. Goodbye.